Hey guys, it's Mr. Stecker. I'm going to make a couple short videos, hopefully one, probably more, and I'm going to teach you how to make your science fair portions that are eventually going to go in your trifold board. And I'm making this video because it is a little bit different than a lab report, and you guys have a little experience with lab reports, but this is a little bit different. If you go back to this thing, your rubric project guide deal you got weeks ago, at the very bottom you'll see there's this little portion right here. 7 parts of your project that you'll display are problem, hypothesis, procedure, data analysis, conclusion, and bibliography. Now, we got a lot of the bare bones of this stuff kind of put together, but today I'm going to show you how to write it and how to write it correctly, and I'm going to show you with a silly sample. So let's start over here. We're going to start with a problem statement. I made up a nonsensical lab that maybe a kid could do, and I'm going to say, okay, problem. So this is our problem section here, and all this will be eventually blown up to a bigger font size and will be displayed on a trifold board, right? So let's say, does the dog treat a trainer uses affect the ability for dogs to learn tricks quickly? That's a problem statement. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a question form, but I think for this one it will probably work quickly that way. So we're not going to do anything more than that. That's a simple section and we're done. So next is hypothesis. I'm going to pick 3 different things to train these puppies with, and let's say we're going to use peanut butter on like a spoon. We're going to use milk bone dog treats, and we're going to use little cheese chunks. And so we're going to hypothesize that peanut butter will outperform milk bone dog treats and cheese pieces as motivation for training puppies. Okay, so that's the hypothesis. It's a simple, testable statement. You might have learned it earlier in your life as an educated guess. That's fine too, but that's a hypothesis, and you really don't need anything more than that. It's a testable statement, and we're gonna move on with this. So in my silly hypothetical thing, I know a guy who runs a corgi farm, and I've got access to 9 corgis. We're going to split them up into 3 groups of 3, and we're going to try different treats with different puppies, right? So here's the procedure. This has to be past tense, and you have to avoid your pronouns. I, me, we, she, he, us, those sorts of things. We got to leave those out. And so we got to say, okay, let's see, 9 puppies were obtained from the corgi farm. The puppies were split into 3 groups of 3 puppies each, not faux, of 3 puppies each. And that might be a little redundant, but that's okay because we're trying to move right through this. This isn't going to be beautiful maybe on the rough draft here, but we're going to get a rough draft knocked out, right? Let's see. Each group was taught 3 tricks. Let's go sit, stay, and lay down. Those are pretty common dog tricks. Let's see. And the number of training trials, repetition, I don't know how we want to word this, training trials maybe, was recorded until a successful trick was accomplished. And so you want to write this to where it's specific enough that another person could read it and replicate your research. Repeatability is an important thing in science, and so we're going to do that. We're going to try to make this as specific as we can. And so we would continue on with this, explaining exactly what we did and exactly how we did it. And we can probably stop there for now. It's not really enough. We should probably add something. 3 groups, 3 puppies each. Each group was taught 3 tricks. The number of trials was recorded until a successful trick was accomplished. Yeah, I think that's probably going to work for us. We're gonna start right there. Yours will probably be a little bit longer than this procedure, but you get the idea for how to write that, right? So here we go. Let's go to data. Now, data and analysis are tricky because I just made up some data for a sample. Data and analysis are tricky because data and analysis are different. Data is just your numbers, but it's not just a table of numbers. And analysis is what you did with your numbers. So I made this silly graph. This is important. This is a title, a y-axis label, an x-axis label, and then the graph here. And so we have the number of trials for a successful trick with peanut butter in the blue bars and milk bones in the orange bars and cheese chunks in the gray bars. And then I've recorded here, this is going to be the average, so I should actually have average number. And if you want, I can do another video on how to get this built in Excel. It's pretty simple, but we can make that happen if we need to. And so we're going to go up to data. And for data, this section is not the section somebody reads for fun in the evening. It's just gonna be the numbers, just the raw numbers. And so a lot of you guys have data collected from your experiments, and we're gonna try to clean that up a little bit. And so here we go. We're gonna come up with a bunch of silly dog names, and we're just gonna give some plain old numbers, and we're gonna see how it works out, and we'll probably stop the video after this. So data, again, past tense, no pronouns. We're gonna try to avoid those things, so here we go. 3 dogs were taught to sit using peanut butter as motivation. Let's see, that sounds more like procedure. I don't really like how that's written, but that's okay. Let's say the dog Salt, we'll give these dogs names, right? Learned after 4 practices. The dog Pepper learned after 2 practices. And the dog, we got to give these dogs all cool names. Come On Man Cajun Seasoning, another great seasoning, learned after 3 practices. Okay, this gave an average of 3 practices with peanut butter. Okay, and then I'm just going to go on to the next group, and I'm going to keep going with my data that way. So it's just the data. So you could do a new paragraph there. You could keep going if you want. So we could say, 3 other dogs, and there's probably some like obscure grammar rule about starting a sentence with a number, but whatever. 3 other dogs were trained to sit with milk bones, those little hard dog treats you can buy. And then we'll do their results, right? The dog, we'll just give them all really silly names. Dum Dum, the sucker, not referencing its intellect, right? Learned in 3 practices. The dog Pee Wee, because they're real small little dogs, right? Those corgis, learned in 5 practices. And the dog, we gotta give him another really cool name, Stumpy the Short-Legged Explorer, right? That's a really good dog name. Learned in 4 practices. Okay, we'll just throw some numbers in there. This resulted in an average of, let's see, 4 practices with milk bones. And so you can see you can keep writing this data on and on and on, and by naming the dogs, they'll know that you've done this and that you've got the number of trials that you need. And so I've got my peanut butter one done, and I've got my milk bones one done. So now we have to do what else? We have to do cheese. Okay, so 3 other dogs. This is nice because we have a big sample size of 9 split into groups of 3. Were taught to sit using cheese as motivation, and the dog, whoops, motivation went crazy there, sorry about that, and the dog, we got to give them all really cool names, Iced Tea, right, learned in 6 practices, not the fastest dog apparently. Do another dog name that's just ridiculous. Skittles learned in 5 practices, and we'll do my favorite name. Let's go Overgrown Hamster, learned in 7. We'll do a semicolon, for an average of 6 practices for cheese. And so you're just going to keep going. With mine, I rotated the hypothetical dogs so that salt, pepper, and Come On Man Cajun seasoning, they're not always learning with peanut butter. When we go to stay, those three are going to learn with milk bones. And when we go to lay down, those three are going to learn with cheese. And so my three groups are cycled through three different tricks and three different motivations for treats. And I would put all that in my data. So imagine this, I'd start a new paragraph 3 times over, and the next time I'm rotating my dogs into different groups. But we're gonna keep that same past tense, the same type of sentences, and that's just raw data. We're not gonna do anything with that data yet. It's just numbers, and it's not very exciting section, but that's how you write it. So I'm going to stop the video now because I don't want the YouTube upload time to be too long. And we're going to come back to analysis, and I'm going to show you guys what we can do with that data and some easy ways that we can make this information digestible on your poster. So I'll keep it as quick as I possibly can, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.